Get my coffee going.
I got you.
No, you can't. I don't know how much you've seen or heard, but what have you seen kind of from Josh so far, or at least heard? Because I know you guys can have the chance to opportunity to get them on the field for a little bit.
Yeah, so Sapp looks great. He came in looking awesome. He obviously did some things on his own and took that serious. But he's looked good. You know, we're not in the workouts with him and doing those type of things, but he's come in and he's jumped right into the classroom academically and is figuring that thing out on the run, which is what happens with freshmen. But he's done great. Really excited about being able to get my hands on him and work with him here in August, and then he's got a bright future here as a Clemson Tiger.
How's this offseason been different for you?
What's your name?
Nikki, with TigerNet.
With TigerNet.
Yep.
All right, good to see you, Nikki. How's this off-season been different? Probably the biggest difference is just going on the road recruiting. Everybody in the building is involved in recruiting, but with just the 10 position coaches being able to go actually on the road, that's probably been the biggest difference is, you know, I've done that before as a 1AA coach, but being at this level, in 1AA, you're chasing guys who think they're going to Clemson and they're not going to Clemson, and you're trying to convince them they're not going to Clemson without upsetting them, right? So it's a long process, and you're fishing in a huge pond where when you're at a level like this and at Clemson, you're fishing in that small pond, and so I've had to adjust to that part of it, and that's probably been the biggest part. You know, coaching football is coaching football. I've done that for 20 plus years. So the biggest adjustment was probably putting a plan together, you know, identifying where you want to go, who you want to hit, and then putting a plan together and then going and executing that plan. And for the first time, that was probably the biggest adjustment.
How were you able to take what you learned as a high school coach and kind of implement that into your recruiting?
Yeah, you know, for me, you know, even though I've coached college before, you know, I'm a high school coach at heart. And, you know, when I took this job 7 years ago, one of the big things that I told Coach Swinney when I came in was, you know, I feel like we need to separate ourselves from other programs and how we deal with high school coaches. So I kind of put a plan together. We called it the Paul in 50 States, and I put that together, and that was kind of my baby, and I ran with it for the last 6 years, and now I've passed that little baton off. But for us, I wanted our high school coaches in all 50 states, not just in our pipeline, not just in South Carolina, to view us different, and to view us different because of what we were doing for them and what we were doing to try to help them. And that's probably the biggest thing that I've taken from high school to college is we, as a high school coach, sometimes you feel like the only time you get any attention from a college program is when you have a great player that they want, and you can feel kind of used. So I wanted to kind of separate us in that regards. So that was probably the biggest thing, is just coming in and going, hey, these high school coaches are no different than we are. I can go down the list of high school coaches that's gone from high school to college and won national championships or become great, college coaches. And there's a list of high school coaches that's become NFL coaches. So coaching football is coaching football. And the field's the same and the ball's the same. So for me, it was like, we don't need to view, not that we were, but me personally, it was like, hey, we need to look at these group of coaches just like we look at ourselves. And that was probably the thing that I brought from a coaching standpoint. Like I said, coaching football is coaching football. It's about relationships. It's about trust. It's about being able to push a kid to where he can imagine where he can go and finding a way to do that. It don't matter what level you're doing that at. If you're going to be a successful coach, you're going to be able to do those things. So the coaching part is the easy part.
What were the injuries that sidelined Davis and Sage in the spring? How's their health status now?
And what's your name? Where are you from?
Scott Kiefer of the Greenville News.
All right, good to see you. I'm learning everybody, so I want to know names and where you're from. Davis had a shoulder injury and played through it throughout the season. Sage had a knee injury, and again played through that injury throughout the season. And it just shows you how tough this group of tight ends are. They were banged up the entire season. Obviously, you lost Braden for the year, and then you turn around and Davis is hurt, Sage is hurt, and they still finished all the way through Iowa State, and they were not close to 100%. And as soon as the season's over, they go and get those injuries taken care of. But it just again, it shows you how tough this group is, but it also shows you the commitment that these players have to Clemson football, and to this coaching staff, and to this program, and everybody, and the fans, and everyone that's involved. It would have been very easy for them in a quote-unquote rough year to go, you know what, I'm gonna go get fixed, and then I'm gonna be ready for spring ball, or I don't want to go through this pain to finish this season. Instead, they fought through it, and they fought through it for a reason and a purpose, and it's what's been instilled in them inside these four walls, and what this program, what these fans, what Clemson football means to them, and they toughed it out, and we finished the year, and we finished on top.
Davis obviously has the potential to be an impact guy, right?
Yeah. I mean, we got four guys in the room right now, and all four guys can play and have played. You got Davis Allen, you got Sage Ennis, which we've already talked about. You got Luke Price, who's the grandpa of the room. He's going on year 6. He's challenging me for as much time in the building as I've had. But you got Luke, who's played a ton of football here as a walk-on and earning a scholarship. And then you got Jay Brenningsville, who was young last year and had to be thrown in the fire at times. And now you got those four guys that's got all kind of different levels of experience. And all four of those guys bring something different to the table. And what we have to do as coaches is find ways to mix and match their strengths in order to make our offense go. And that's kind of my job, is to go through fall camp. I've been able to go through a spring with some of them. I didn't have Davis and I didn't have Sage in the spring, so I was able to work a lot more with Jake and work a lot more with Luke. We got Will Blackston had a great spring, and Banks Pope had a great spring because they took on some of the reps of those guys that were out. But going into fall camp, everybody in the room, there's going to be 8 guys in that tight end room, and they're all going to be in fall camp. And I'm looking forward to working with all of them and kind of putting those pieces of the puzzle together, and how we're going to use those guys. Because we got a good group of depth. And that's something that obviously last year we started running out of at position. So it's going to be fun to be able to work with all those guys. They're a great group to work with. They go in the classroom up there and it's business. They go on the field, it's business, and then we go off the field and we have a good time together and enjoy each other. So it's going to be a fun group to work with.
You mentioned that quote unquote down year for Clemson. What's kind of the vibe, the energy around the program this year, would you say, over the summer?
What's your name?
Chapel Fowler with the State.
All right, with the State. Okay. Nice to meet you.
Appreciate you. You too.
I don't think it was a down year. Nobody in the building thought it was a down year. Clemson fans thought it was a down year. My mom thought it was a down year. But for us, we fought our tails off and we kept in streak. Something that only 2 teams walking into this season can say they have a streak at. So for us, it was not a down year. Was it a year of crazy things that happened? Yeah. Was it a year of 1 play, 2 play didn't go our way this year? Well, in other years, 1 play, 2 play did go our way. Yeah. And it kind of compounded at times. But for us in the building, we just kept fighting. And we didn't listen to what was happening outside the building, and we focused on what the job was every single day, and we focused on the job was on Saturday, and we found a way to get a streak going there at the end. which we all know now is the longest winning streak in the country. And who would have said that walking off the field at Pittsburgh last year? Who would have said that walking off the field at NC State? Probably not a lot of people. I mean, you lose to the national champion, eventually the national champion. And again, it's one or two plays here and there, and that's different. And maybe that makes the rest of the season different, and maybe it makes the rest of the season different for them. I don't know. I really don't care. At the end of the day, the focus was on what was in this building, and whether you were a position coach, the head coach, a coordinator, or support staff, we all had a job to do. And our job didn't change because we had won or lost on the Saturday before. Our job didn't change because, we didn't go into the bowl game and do things different because, oh my gosh, 10 wins are on the line. No, we went into the bowl game because we wanted to win. That's what we do every single week. But for us, man, we had just a bigger party after Iowa State in the locker room as we did when we won the national championship. And that's just the way Coach Sweeney has built this program and built this culture. And that's just the way we work within it. So it was a great year last year.
Hey, Pete Yakabelli with the Associated Press out of Columbia.
All right, out of Columbia. All right.
So,
God love you. I'm kidding.
just wanted to say, people are going to look at the staff roster and say, they're new guys all over the place. But for you guys, it seems like you're working around people that you've been working around for a while, for everybody.
Yeah.
It's got to be a good feeling.
Yeah, I've been here 7 years, so I'm going on my 7th season. And the guys that I'm working with as position coaches, Tyler Grisham, I've worked with in some capacity for 7 years. Heck, I've known CJ Spiller since he was running down that hill and doing his thing because I was in the stadium watching. Right, so I feel like I know CJ forever, but got a great relationship with Spiller, and then worked with Streeter for the 7 years here in some capacity, and I knew Streeter before that. When I was a head coach, and he was recruiting for Clemson. So, and then Thomas, been with Thomas for 5 out of the 7 years, and was still with him really for 7 years because we go to FCA camp. I take our families to FCA camp together for those years he was not here, and kept our relationship going. So, all the support staff has been here, whether they've been here a year, 2 years, or longer. So for us, it's all been easy transitions on the outside. It looks like, man, everything's kind of been thrown up in the fan, and where is it falling? And for us, it's just like, okay, well, I need you to move to that seat, and I need you to move to that seat, but we're all moving to the same seats in the same room. It's just kind of, we've moved around the table. I got a bigger office now. That's been nice. Got a couch in there, so kick my feet up and watch a little TV every night. Watch y'all's reports every now and then. So, but it's not been really that big a deal, if any. And we've had a spring. That's another thing. We've had a spring to kind of get the kinks out of some of that new stuff.
With Brenningstool, what's the next step that you want to see? The steps you want to see him take?
Well, Brenningstool, biggest thing with him is just consistency. He's a young guy that, again, kind of got thrown in the fire at times because of injuries and probably was not ready at times. But his potential is through the roof. His athleticism and what he brings to us in that tight end room and what he brings to the opposing defense and matchup problems is through the roof. So what he's got to do, and he's taken steps to that. He's just got to be more consistent, and that's normal for a guy like him. For some of these guys that they're big time recruits and they dominate so much in high school, and then they get here and they think it's going to be just as easy as that, and that's across the board at a lot of positions. But what happens is that then you get here and it's like, oh, wait a second, everybody's done what I've done. Everybody's been as dominant as I was in high school. So he's just got to get consistent. But man, he's had a great. They got banged up a little bit in the spring, but he's come back from that well. He's, all the reports from the weight room have been. I'm just pleased with everything that he's doing right now, and again, just excited to be able to see what he does in year 2. But he's got a chance to be special.
You talk about mixing and matching skill sets. It seems like he's got the receiver background and the agility to kind of give you something vertically a little different.
Yeah, I mean he's you know, he's more exactly what you said. He's more of the receiver type tight end, but don't sleep on Brenny's physicality, and don't sleep on Brenny's just, you know, meanness. And I don't even know if that's a word, but it's a word today. I mean, he played defense in high school, and he's very, very physical, and he's very nasty, and he's got that mentality that I love at tight end. So don't think that he's just going to line up and go run some routes and be pretty out there in grass. He gets in the box and he mixes it up, and that's kind of his specialty. Is he's more athletic than most tight ends. But a lot of athletic tight ends can't do what he can do inside the box. And then you flip it and you got like a Davis Allen, who's a mixture of both. You know, I mean, how many times last year did we flank him out as a wide receiver, you know, wide, and go throw him a ball and he make a play? You know, just right now, jumping out is the fake punt. And he just goes up and looks like Randy Moss, you know what I mean? But yet, Davis can, again, you can play him in the box and do things with him to help us in our run game, our play action game. And then Sage is a mixture of both. And then Luke is just your nasty, get in the box and let's go to war, you know. And you can count on him. But man, Luke took so many steps forward in his passing, you know, in his passing part of his tight end and his receiving, because he got a lot of reps. And he just took advantage of those reps. So again, all four of them bring something different to the table. And then I can't wait to see what Sat brings to the table. And I get to work with him and see him this fall. So man, I'm telling you, we got a great group. On and off the field, and we got a deep group at tight end going into fall camp.
The Clemson offense is at its best when the tight ends are highly involved. One, what does this group have to do to kind of take that next step? And two, what do you guys as coaches have to do to make sure they're incorporated in the game plan?
You know, it's I hear that a lot, especially on the road recruiting, that, you know, incorporating the tight end, or maybe they're not used as much at Clemson as they would be somewhere else, or, you know, their touches, or blah, blah, blah. So at the end of the day, you got to separate facts from fiction, right? So I did a little research on Clemson tight end usage since 2015, when we made the first playoff, right? All right, Nikki, what do you think the Clemson tight end, the lowest Clemson tight end usage since 2015 is? Now let me tell you what the details are of that question first, right? At least one tight end was on the field or more. What do you think the percentage of all the snaps we've taken since 2015, at least one tight end was on the field at Clemson since 2015? Oh, I'm putting it on you now. 85. 85. Anybody else want to throw?
91.
91. Anybody else? The only reason I'm asking if anybody else wants to throw another number out is because y'all are both wrong. Anybody else want to throw a number out? 98. 98? Okay. 96% of the time, Clemson has a tight end on the field in some capacity, whether it's run game, pass game, whatever. And then there's a percentage where there's two, and there's a percentage where there's three. So kind of the narrative is really false that we don't use our tight end, or we don't use our tight end. Now the flip side of that is we never go into a game and say this wide receiver is going to get 5 touches, and this tight end is going to get 7 touches, and this running back is going to get 10 touches. We don't do that. We put a game plan together to beat a defense. And however that game plan sometimes changes after quarters, and sometimes, you know, tweaks at halftime. Whatever that brings is whoever's going to get the touches and the usage. But at the end of the day, we put a tight end on the field almost every snap. Last question. What was the percentage last year?
100.
That's my girl right there. 100%. 100% we had a tight end on the field last year. Every single snap last year, we had a tight end on the field. So guess what? Clemson uses their tight ends. All right, that's the first thing. The second thing is their usage within the game it's going to be game plan specific, and it's going to be what the defense gives and takes, you know. Now, for me, what do I have to do to make sure that they're fully incorporated or they're part of the game plan is I got to push them to go practice, and I got to push them to go to meetings and come out of meetings and take it to practice. And when they come out of practice, we have to walk in that room up there and go, there's no way we can go without this guy doing this. There's no way we can go play this team without these two dudes doing this. So at the end of the day, they control their usage. They control game plan specific stuff. Because just because they had stars beside their name in recruiting doesn't mean we're going to go, well, we need to throw that dude the ball next time. No. And I promise the quarterbacks ain't looking up there going, well, which one bought me breakfast today? You know what I mean? Who gets open? Who finds a way? Who can make a play? And how does it work within the play that we've called? You know what I'm saying? We never go, hey, Trevor, hey, Deshaun, hey, DJ, on this play, we want you. Don't worry about anything else that's happening. Don't worry about what the defense is doing. Don't worry about that this dude might not be open or he might fall down on the snap. You just throw it to him. Don't do that. And that's the thing, and our tight ends understand that. Our receivers understand that. We got to do things to put the best product of offense on the field and find a way to be productive offensively. Their job is for us to go, there's no way we can be productive without X, Y, and Z. Does that make sense?
Kyle, I know you.
Y'all like how I was throwing questions back at y'all, huh?
I know you spent some time in the spring introducing maybe some new receiving concepts and passing game concepts. When you went back and analyzed it after the spring, what did you find? Did you feel like you're going to continue to use some of those things this fall?
Yeah, you know, for us, we just kind of, you know, we didn't want to, you know, throw the offense away or design a new offense. Our offense has been great, you know. Did we fall in some hard times last year? Yeah, and we have to get better. But for us, it was not just starting back from scratch. I think at times when you do have, you know, with Coach Morris being here when he was here, and then, you know, Jeff and Tony kind of taking it, and then Tony, you know, what happens is it can kind of become hodgepodge because everybody's bringing new ideas to the table and they kind of dump on top of each other. And I think that's what, you know, when me and, you know, Street sat down and was like, all right, kind of what direction do we want to go now? Yeah, as you, the offense coordinator, and me, the passing game coordinator, and it was like, let's just kind of clean up some things. You know, let's look at things that we don't do anymore, or haven't done in years is probably the better way to say it. Haven't done in years, and let's put them to the side, and let's really get a core group of passing concepts that we do a bunch or we need to do more, and let's really focus on that and find ways to make those better. So our offense hasn't changed, our passing game hasn't changed. Have we tweaked some things within core concepts? Yes. Have we tweaked some things in, hey, that's not a core concept, it's still going to be a concept, but it's not a core concept for us? Yeah. But at the end of the day, we haven't changed our passing game, we haven't incorporated a new passing game. I think what we've done is by simplifying things and getting this into this, we've been able to play faster. We've been able to get our guys, and when I say play faster, that doesn't mean that we're snapping more snaps. What I mean by play, and that's kind of another fact versus fiction. You know, sometimes you throw out, man, we play slow, or this team's got unbelievable tempo, but if you really dug into the stats, you'd be like, well, wait a second. Yeah, they snap the ball more than any. You need some help here? Yeah, let me get that for you. All right, what's your name?
Amanda.
And who are you with?
Watch Fox.
Okay, I'm just going to take probably 10% of that paycheck. All right, and what happens is that, yeah, they might be snapping the ball 80 times a game, but they're not very efficient as an offense. They're not very effective as an offense. So what we've done is we've said, hey, we need to be able to play faster, as in our guys think faster. Think faster pre-snap. Think faster after the ball is snapped and what I've got to do in the routes. And if we do that, then we can give them some more things to do post-snap in the route to try to take advantage of some grass spots that maybe we haven't been able to take advantage of. Sometimes you get locked, and this is not a knock on any offense out there, but sometimes, you know, you just line up and say, hey, you run this route, and that's the route. And regardless of what the defense does, that's the route. And for us, I don't want to be locked in to a route. You know, there's times you have to lock in the routes. And then there's other times like, hey, let's give you a little bit of, you know, let's give you some options, right? But in order to do that, you can't have 1,000 plays that they're thinking through options. And that's the biggest thing that we've probably done is, all right, we're going to give them some options and some routes, but we got to bring it into to this and not be out here with this.
What kind of steps forward have you seen out of Johnny?
I mean, he's had a great spring. Man, he looks great. I don't know if y'all seen pictures of him lately, but man, he looks good. He's lost weight and really trimmed up, and you know, he's a quiet leader, and you don't have to be a rah-rah guy to be a leader, but he's a quiet leader and leads by actions and work ethic. And you know, he had a great spring, and you know, he's been great this summer in the weight room and leading our guys and voluntary type stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in the fall. That room's great. We got a ton of leaders in there. It's awesome to get Hunter back and have him again. He's kind of the grandfather of that room. He's been there, done that in that room, and he's also gone to another school and played at a high level there. So I think it's just awesome to be able to have DJ and Cade, being able to learn from DJ. I mean, DJ was in the fire last year. DJ was also thrown in the fire as a freshman. And those experiences are going to help Cade. And Hunter's experiences are going to help both of them. And I like the room, and I like where they're at and where we're going in fall camp. We all have, all the different rooms have great chemistry going into the fall right now, which is what you need. So we just got to keep it.
Sorry, you've already been talked about this, but I know you mentioned in the spring you need to build confidence in the guys, also confidence in the passing game last year. Just how do you feel exiting the spring, confidence is passing game?
Felt great. We put some tweaks in. It got the guys excited. You know, it gave them something new to think about and to do and kind of challenge them. And they see some of these changes, and I don't say changes, but some of these tweaks is more like it. You know, they like that. You know, they like a challenge, and they like to be able to do things, and they like to have some options. So it was easy with the players.
What can Jake bring to this offense?
What's your name?
Mark Whiteman.
All right. What can Jake bring to this offense? He can bring a lot. You know, he can bring athleticism at a tight end position. You know, you look back at Jordan Leggett's days and kind of the end of his career, and the athleticism that he brought in the passing game. So I think Jake can bring that when it comes to the passing game, but Jake can also bring inside the box. He's physical, and he can do things that. Let me help you with that. All right. You want me to hold it for you? Okay, man, I'm getting a lot of extra money today because I'm just doing all this stuff. If this tight end thing don't work out, I know where I'm going to work next, right? Yeah, so Jason brings a lot to the table, and excited to see him in year 2 take the next step.
You know where he is weight-wise right now?
Weight-wise?
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head. Where should he be? Where do you want it? What's your name?
I'm Anna.
Anna?
Yes.
Where do you want him at? I'll let him know.
What does he play in the spring? I thought maybe a priority was maybe putting some weight on this summer.
I mean, he was like in the 200s. What do you want him? I'll make sure he knows. Yeah, y'all ask questions of me. I should be able to ask questions back, Anna.
Okay, can I ask another question?
Sure.
We talked about
As long as you don't ask me what my weight is. Okay. All right. Here we go.
You talked about building some post-snap answers in the spring.
Yeah.
And Coach Christian was just talking about the importance of repping that a ton in the fall to kind of get that down. How do you see that?
Same way, and that's why you can't. It kind of goes back to you can't do 1,000 things because now you can't rep it in practice. So you kind of dwindle that down and say, all right, what's our base? What's our core? Now you're still going to build off of that, but what's our base? What's our core? So we can go rep that a ton in practice. So where not only the receiver knows what he's doing, he's comfortable in what he's doing, but the quarterback in return is comfortable with him and where he's got to go and be. Does that make sense?
And that O-line,
Yeah, yep,
Jake
definitely.
got
I was going to guess 215.
215. I don't know if that's right or wrong. Am I out?
Is he
I
got
go?
to split out some? Be wide?
Who?
Jake.
Oh yeah, yeah, he can do it all. He'll be able to do both.
Thank
All
you.
right, appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Coach.
Wait to see y'all in the left.